Hi folks, it's Jennifer McGuire and welcome back to my favorite crafty things of 2014. Today is my favorite topic, and that is organization. Now I'll tell you, I went back and forth on how to pull this video together, and I'm hoping I came up with the best approach. So I'll tell you about that in a moment. But first I wanted to mention that any products I talk about are linked in the YouTube description or over my blog, where I have some fun discount codes and some great giveaways, especially today, some really good giveaways. Okay, so here's the thing. I have so many different organization systems I use in my craft room. I couldn't show them all in one video. So what I'm going to do in this video is link to all the others. So I'm just going to briefly talk about them and provide the link to where you can go to see more detail about these products. To make it easier, I did pull together a playlist on my YouTube channel. So if you click here, it'll take you to that playlist where you can see all the organization videos. Now, if you are watching this on like a mobile phone or something and you don't have annotations, you can look below in my YouTube description for those links, or you can just head right over to my blog where everything will be listed and provided. I really think this is the best way to pull this all together for you, and I hope you agree. I really find organization so important in making this hobby fun, so I have lots to share. Let's start with my ink storage system. Now if you click right here, it will take you to the video that I've done recently about how I store all of my inks. I keep some of them in IKEA Alex drawers, and that's where I have all of my pigment inks because they stack so nicely on their sides together. I also have some other small containers, but I also have these Organize More ink units. These are fantastic. I have one of them attached to the inside of my cabinet door that's right by where I work, and then I have one setting inside my cabinet itself. You can hang these on the wall, you can stand them on your table, whatever you want. There are so many different options that Organize More offers for different size units, and you can find one that works best for your space. Now, I have my extra inks in these little containers that I can pull out. These are all my dye inks that I reach for often. The unit on the door has all of my favorite colors that I reach for the most, and then inside are the other colors in rainbow order. And I have everything labeled on the side, and I'll show you that label maker in a little bit. This ink organization system really works well for me, but be sure to check out my video where I show the other places I store inks. Another thing that I have is my distress inks, and this time I actually have the inking unit on its side in a drawer. This seems to work well for me. The caps stay on. It doesn't do any damage to the inks to be this way. And this way I can have all of my inking tools next to the inks. Now there's no need to have all those inking tools, one inking tool for each ink. I have it this way because I use these so much because it's part of my job, but really you can get away with a couple with no problem. This takes up an entire drawer in my craft room, and I've been considering switching to the mini ink pads instead. Now with the minis, you can take the foam off the inking tool and put it right in the base of the ink. So you just take your inking tool, take the foam off, stick it on, use it as you're using that ink, and then put it back. I've been toying with the idea of taking the lids off these tins, so I basically have little trays that are perfectly sized to fit my distress inks, and just using the minis with a few ink blending tools, and it would just take up less room. It's just another option, so you can consider what you may have space for in your room. But keep in mind, the big distress ink pads, they stack nicely, so you can always just stack them in a drawer if you wanted to. But for more on my distress ink storage, be sure to check out my ink video. A very important topic for stampers is stamp storage. I'll talk about clear, cling, and wood mount stamp storage. Now for the clear stamps and cling stamps, I use stamp pockets, and I showed these in an earlier video in this My Favorite Things series, so be sure to check that out about stamp pockets. However, since doing that video just this week, I did find pockets for large stamp sets. Many people ask about this, like these 6x8 stamp sets like this one from W+9. They don't fit in the regular stamp pockets that I've shown before. What I do now is I have the 6x10 sleeve that I put a piece of white cardstock in, and I can just slide my stamp set in it. It doesn't seal on the top, but that's okay. It fits in there nice and tight, so I don't think anything's going to fall out. It's thinner than my other stamp pockets, but that's all right. I have something now that I can slide these large stamp sets in and keep them secure. This is the regular stamp pockets that I use from Avery Elle, so you can see how they compare in size. And most of my stamp sets fit in the smaller pockets, the one on the right, but it is good to have an option for your bigger stamp sets on the left. Now, if you want to see more about how I store all my stamps in these pockets, I have 2 videos to share with you. The first one on the top is my original stamp storage video on how I store all of my clear and cling stamps in these pockets in the containers that I use. It's been a great system for me, and I know many people have kind of switched to it and really like it. The second video here on the bottom gives some tips on how I store some other larger stamp sets or tinier stamp sets. So it's just kind of a continuation with a little bit more information. In between these 2 videos, you should be good to go on clear and cling stamp storage. Now, all of my stamp pockets I keep in these fridge bins still, which I show in those videos, and I love these containers. You can see them there. They hold about 160 sets each, which is a great storage system. Really is a great way to keep everything organized in a confined space. Now, wood-mounted stamp storage, people ask about this. I'm using the same system I've used for about 10 years now. I have cabinets in my office where I actually have plastic spice racks in it. So there's tiers, and I put my stamps standing up on them so I can see them. If I just put them in a drawer and never see them, I'll never use them. This way I can see all my stamps and quickly grab what I need. And I'll link to the spice racks that I use. They're inexpensive, and I've had them forever. Now, cling stamps. I keep my basic cling stamps, anything that's like smaller than 4x6 or whatever, in those stamp pockets that I showed you earlier. However, 6x6 large cling stamps have become more and more popular, and I love them. So I keep mine in another one of the Linus containers. You can see that almost all the containers I use are from this Linus brand of containers. The ones I use for my clear stamps, for my inks, they're just good quality containers, and you can use them for a variety of things. But these fit in here nicely, and I can just flip through them easily. Okay, so now it's time for die storage. That's another system that I've used for a while now, and I'm really, really pleased with, and I haven't changed it much over the past year or so. So if you click here, you can see my die storage video. This is my wafer-thin die storage. I'm really pleased with this system, so be sure to check out that video instead of going into details here. But in that video, I basically show some die pockets that I use, and I've been using the same ones forever. I talked about it earlier in the series, and I have them in the same containers that I actually keep my extra inks in. These Linus containers are fabulous because you can grab them and go. This has really worked out well for me, so check out that video. Stencil Storage is another one that I have been using for a bit now, and I'm really pleased with it. I don't use many big stencils. I use mostly 6x6. And if you want to see a storage video on my stencils, you can click here. I have pockets for my stencils, and I divide them up. And again, I keep them in the Linus containers. There are 2 different size Linus containers that I think work well for stencils, depending on how much room you have. And I'll link to both of those. You can always click through the links and see what dimensions they are to see what works best for you. Now, paper storage. I know this is a tricky one for a lot of people, and I finally solved my paper storage dilemmas. All the different ways I store paper I have in a video on paper storage. I show how I keep all my 8.5 by 11 cardstocks in sleeves in a cabinet. It works so well. I also show how I store my note cards and my envelopes and other things like that. You'll see I use a lot of the same containers for different uses. I also show in that video how I store my pre-cut cardstocks. I like to get my cardstocks pre-cut at like an office supply store. They just do bulk cutting. And I show how I use this 3-compartment paper container to store those pre-cut pieces. So be sure to check out that video too. Embossing powder organization. I just shared this recently in a video. I have a few different ways for embossing powder organization. One is to put the swatch of what the embossing powder looks like on the bottom of your jar and store it upside down so you can see it. I also have a few different containers that I think really work great for embossing powders with the little spoons attached to the lids. Be sure to check out the video about this because I think it's really helpful in keeping those embossing powders organized. Okay, so now that I've linked to a bunch of basic videos, let's talk about some general organization. A few just random things that I have in my craft room that I really love. One is the Brother Label Maker. I love this P-Touch label maker. And in fact, if you click here to watch one of my previous videos, I show you how you can do the settings so that you conserve the amount of tape that is used. I also highly recommend, I recently found out, that you can buy a charger for this. So you don't have to use batteries. You can plug it in. It tends to eat batteries, so if you get that adapter, It's awesome, so I can't recommend that enough either. I am a labeling fool in my house. I have my craft room all labeled. I have my kitchen stuff all labeled. This label maker is kind of my best friend, I'll have to admit. Another secret product that I've never really shared before are these large zipper bags. I can't tell you how many I have of these, maybe 20 or 30. Now, I use these for my kits. So when I get a card kit in the mail, I take them out of the box and put them in these zipper pouches. Or if I've kind of pulled some products together that I plan to use together on a card, I'll store them in the zipper pocket just to keep everything safe. I also store my planner in one of these. I store kids' toys in these, but they are great in the craft room for just kind of keeping things organized, especially if you're a planner or if you do a lot of kits. And they're very inexpensive. They're only a few bucks each. Very strong too. Now the Boon Organizer, I've shared this in the past and you can now get it on Amazon. This guy is so much fun. There are little compartments that are kind of tilted. You can hang this on the wall or set it on your desk. I have this right to the right of me in my top drawer. These are all my go-to tools that I need to grab quickly. So I have that right there, and it is perfect for storing all kinds of doodads. And here's a picture of it in my drawer. I'm telling you, this guy is wonderful. I have, I think, 3 or 4 of these in my craft room because I just cannot get enough of them. Now for storage of tiny embellishments like sequins, which are really popular right now, I really like the Craftmates. There are 2 sizes. This is the 28. There are 28 compartments here. You can pull out 4 at a time, and all you do is push the little slider on the side and you can easily open them. And I love that they stay nice and secure in there. And this is just a great way to keep them organized. I actually put the label of what the sequins are on the side of the unit so that you can see it if you need to refer to that. This has really worked well for me over the years. I also like the Craftmates 14. This is a little bit smaller. These don't pop out. It's just one large piece, and you just push on the side and you can pop open the pieces. The compartments themselves are a little bit larger, so this works good for, say, your wood veneer pieces or maybe for some buttons and such. But both of these I think work well. Now, if you saw my embossing powder organization video, you know that I love the Systema containers. This is what I put some of my embossing powders in. I also have lots of these just for other embellishments in my craft room. I keep buttons and such in there. These containers are my favorite. I use them for my kids' lunches too. I think the prices are good. Sometimes you can score and find them at TJ Maxx or Home Goods, but you can also get them online. Great, great product. And I like that you pull the sides to open it instead of trying to pull off a lid. Okay, now I am a big fan of putting cards on display in my craft room. So these are all cards that some of my friends have sent me. You could also put your own cards up if you wanted to, but I have done this for a long time, and I think it's a great way to add a little bit of energy to your craft room. And I use little card stands to hold my cards. So there are 2 different types. You see the small ones or the short ones. Those are from Impress, and you can get those online, and I'll link to those. But the ones that I'm really excited about are the tall ones that you see kind of sticking up. These are from Birch Press Designs. It's a new company from our friends over at Memory Box and Poppy Stamps. They make stamps and dies that we all love. These are fantastic because they're nice and tall. You can really stick them anywhere in your craft room, and your little cards can peek out. I actually have some in succulent pots with my cards sticking out. I love these stands, and I actually have a few of them in my kitchen now too. I just think they're fantastic. There's one last thing I wanted to talk about in this video, and that is my favorite products for cleaning up. Yes, this is kind of part of organization, at least it is to me. And in my earlier video in the series, I did a stamp care video where I showed different products I use to take care of my stamps and kind of clean things up, and I'll link to that here. But there's one more product that I use in my craft room that I find super helpful. It is this Pivot Vac from Black & Decker. It's a small vacuum. It's cordless. It's got a little plug in the back that you can plug to charge it when you're not using it. It flips open, it has this small nozzle that gets into tight spaces, and it works incredible. I have one in my craft room, and I take it to my kitchen and use it for other things too. The side pops open so you can empty it out easily. I have found this is a lifesaver in my craft room because I can just grab it and vacuum up any glitter that I may drop, or just to kind of keep all those pieces cleaned up and keep my floor looking clean. So I found that's been very helpful for me. Okay, so all the videos I talked about in this video are all together in a playlist on my YouTube channel. You can click here to see that playlist. Also, I recommend going over to my blog, and you can see all the videos listed there, along with links for these products, discount codes, some really good discount codes, and some really great giveaways. But if you want to, you can check my YouTube description below for the video links and the product links, or again, head over to jennifermcguireinc.com. Thanks so much for watching. I hope kind of pulling these videos together may help you out. See you again soon.